It went down Saturday night, October 9th, Las Vegas, Nevada, T-Mobile Arena. Deontay Wilder made his attempt at regaining the WBC Heavyweight Championship of the World versus the Gypsy King Tyson Fury. This shit didn't go his way. I'm going to break it all down right here, right now. This is your boy, JG. Exaggeration and experience. Let's go.
Tyson, you're both the heaviest that you've ever weighed. He answered what it meant for him to be this heavy. What does it mean for you to be this heavy on Saturday night?
It means total.
Welcome back to the channel, y'all. Like I said before, this is your boy, JG. Exaggeration and experience, all things combat sport. This week, we broke down the Tyson Fury Deontay Wilder fight. Before I get into all that, please, if you could be so kind, like, subscribe, bell icon for notification. We always got the best content coming, you know? I spent a lot of time in the MMA lane, but, this was a big fight, like I mentioned before. In my previous videos, Deontay Wilder, Bronze Bomber, Tyson Fury, Gypsy King. Hell of a fight. It was a hell of a fight. Some are calling it an instant classic. And I agree with that. 5 knockdowns, 11 rounds, back and forth action. Let's get into what happened. Let's get into predictions, and let's get into what's next for each fighter. I made a prediction. I did 3 videos before. I did an overview video, did a technical breakdown video, then I did a prediction video. In my second video where I did the technical breakdown, I gave 3 areas each fighter would have to utilize or be special in order to be successful coming out. I did 3 for Wilder, I did 3 for Fury. Fury checked all 3 boxes. Needless to say, he won the fight. Wilder checked 1.5 boxes. Needless to say, he did not win. My original prediction was Wilder in 5, inside of 5. Then when there was questions about Fury's shape and his weight, I said Fury in 7, I said Wilder in 7 post a press conference because I had concerns about what kind of shape was Fury going to be in. And I'm going to get into that because it turned out to be pretty significant how the fight played out, how he came in. So let's break down the things that Fury, really did well, the boxes that he checked. I said he needed to have these 3 things. He needed to utilize his jab, did that. He took advantage of his size and his physicality. He weighed and weighed and weighed on Wilder. And that third piece was he needed to be confident throughout. At no point in time was he ever going to win this fight if he didn't maintain a high level of confidence. And he very, very clearly did that. So shout out to him. Going over to the Wilder side of things, I said Wilder also needed to utilize his jab, which he did beautifully for a round and a half. He did a fantastic job jabbing to the body, mixing it up, going upstairs, going downstairs, being more versatile in his delivery of punches. The second thing that he needed to do was be more defensively responsible. I saw improvements in that area. I'm going to get into improvements overall, but he didn't do a poor job, but there were some certain areas that fell off with his improvement in other areas. We'll get into that. The third area was the right hand. That's the one checkbox that he got definitively. He was able to get that right hand off and unload on Tyson Fury, but to no avail. Yes, he dropped him twice, hurt him late, I think in the 7th round again. He was able to find a home for that right hand repeatedly, and we'll get to why I feel like Tyson Fury was built to survive those things. So Tyson Fury checked all the boxes. Wilder 1.5. When I go back to Tyson Fury, I think about it like this. He did not look great from the way that he wore his body composition, essentially is what I'm trying to say. He looked pretty fucking gross in my opinion. Shout out to him. But what I would say is the additional weight that he put on is what allowed him to survive those heavy, heavy shots from Deontay Wilder. There's a tremendous video, I'll slap it in here. There's a tremendous video where he eats a devastating right hand and it literally sends a shockwave from his face down into his ass crack of Tyson Fury. You can see the back fat actually ripple. Shout out to back fat, by the way. You can see the back fat ripple from this shot. A lesser man is not standing up to that. And I think that was actually the shot that dropped Tyson Fury initially. But his ability to weather that storm and get up from the second knockdown. And I think this is the point where his confidence really solidified. He gets dropped hard. He got dropped bad the first time he got dropped. The second time, not so much, but he goes down. He's probably still wobble for that initial knockdown. But after those 2 shots, in my mind, I'm thinking, or he's thinking, if this is as bad as it's going to get, if this is the hardest I'm going to get hit, and at this point, this is the 4th round, Wilder is already kind of on shaky legs, then if I just come forward and weigh on this dude and land heavy shots over the top, then I can get him out of here. And that's exactly what Tyson Fury did. He moved through the fire, the damage. He even, the commentators, he's smothering his work. He's smothering his work. In Tyson Fury's mind, that's a small sacrifice to make to get inside of Wilder's power so you don't keep eating those right hands. weigh on this dude, lean on him, and just land heavy over the top shots. That's another thing I feel like was a little underrated from Tyson Fury's game. He started going Marcos Maidana with the overhand right, and it was highly effective to the top of Wilder's head and temple, just knocking him off balance, and just creating a scenario where Wilder was unable to ever really get his legs back because he kept taking those shots off the melon. So that was a challenge. Deontay Wilder, hell of a job. I'm not getting on this video saying no negative shit about Deontay Wilder. That's a man's man. You know, he stood tall. You know, he did his damage. He really got his shots off. He really did exactly what he was supposed to do to win the fight, and it wasn't enough, and he admitted as such. Shout out to Malik Scott, by the way. At this point, he's done several really great, really candid interviews. I think that, you know, if I had a boxing trainer or MMA trainer or whatever, someone that was, you know, essentially a spokesperson for me in my stead, in my absence or whatever, I would want it to be Malik Scott or somebody like him. 100% honest, no hate, no BS, just a true sportsman. He, you know, I can't say enough. Anyway, Wilder did get better defensively. He just faltered in other areas defensively. The reaching so much, it pretty much went away, except for a couple spots. He stopped reaching. But the other thing that he did is he had zero head movement. Goose egg, none. And then he would stand right in front of Tyson Fury, where Tyson Fury didn't even have to disguise 1-1-2, 1-1-2, 1-1 overhand. I'm just going to walk you down. Wilder gave him no other picture to look at except for him standing right in front. So the reaching, the hand discipline, improved. Delivery, improved. Head movement, struggled. Even with that, he's never been a tremendous head mover, but to have none whatsoever against a dude who's really just firing right down the pipe, crazy. I mentioned before, he did get the jab popping, and then the right hand was there. If your name is not, I'm saying it right now. If your name is not Tyson Fury, you're not standing up to those shots that Tyson Fury took. You're just not big enough, and you're gonna get hit. At this point, you can call Wilder a one-trick pony, but he's really good at hitting people with that right hand. It's not an accident. It's not a fluke. You have to say to yourself, I can survive that at least 2 or 3 times. Getting hit flush with the right hand. Not, oh, I can avoid it. You have to accept it's going to happen, and this is how I'm going to survive it. Tyson Fury, being a damn near 7-footer, 300 pounds, was able to do that. I don't know if a Usyk can do that. I don't know if a Dillian White can do that. I don't know if Andy Ruiz can do that. I don't know if any of these guys can do those types of things. You know, Luis King Kong Ortiz, dope ass heavyweight, couldn't do it. And I think he's better than all the guys I just named. I digress. Deontay Wilder, he really improved. He got better. He looked so much better in that fight than he did in most fights that I watched. He had to be better because that's what Tyson Fury brought out of him. And he made it as such it wasn't enough. But 11 rounds, tough, hurting him to the end. Shout out to the uppercut. He had a lead uppercut that looked really smooth, really fluid. Deontay Wilder, that is. Tremendous fight. Tremendous night of fights. Some of the hate, you know what? I'm not going to talk about the hate in this video because for the most part, and you check out boxing Twitter and, you know, see what media is putting out there, the respect for Wilder is there. There's a couple cats out there trying to hate, but you don't get love in this video. Shout out to Deontay Wilder. He's a beast. He's a real one. I can't wait to see him back if he decides to do so. Tyson Fury, you know, there was doubts cast about, oh, was it real? And you really got knocked out in the first fight and you won the second fight, but ... No, I think none of that stuff exists now. There's some complaints about a long count, and that's okay. For right now, Tyson Fury gets to say that he's a man because he beat the dude who was the man at that point in time. Shout out to Tyson Fury. Shout out to Deontay Wilder. Shout out to that event. It was a spectacle. Shout out to boxing. You guys look great. We keep talking about boxing's dead, and boxing looked great. They look great on Saturday night. So what's next? For Wilder, you take some time off. You take a break. You understand that you have room to improve. You didn't do it. People said you can't teach a dog new tricks, and he came out and he looked better. Did he have some areas where he reverted when trouble came? Yeah, that's human nature. It happens. He'll continue to build on those things if he so chooses. When I think about Tyson Fury, he has options. The Usyk fight, he can unify and get all the belts, and I think it will be easy fight for him. Shout out to Usyk, but Tyson Fury's a big ass dude, and he can box. So if you can't, you'd have to outbox that dude and not get weighed on and laid on. Usyk got nice footwork. Maybe he can tire Tyson Fury out, and I don't know. We'll talk about that later. People are calling for an AJ Wilder fight. I'd watch that fight. I'd pay for it, and AJ will get knocked out inside of 4 rounds. AJ gets hit too much. He stands in front. Wilder will knock him out. Too easy. But that's a fight that would sell. Let's say Usyk goes another route. I don't know. The heavyweight division looks good right now. My hope is that, Wilder takes his time, bounces back, and figures out what's next for him. Obviously, he's made enough money in the sport. I'm not a big fan of the retirement talk. He's lost to one human being 2 times and had a draw once. And they've been some great fights, some exciting fights. 1 and 3, that is. And no one else has really, troubled Wilder so much so. And Tyson Fury is young and undefeated. I think Tyson Fury is only 30 years old. So we'll have to see what happens next. But hell of a night of fights. Like I said before, I went with Tyson Fury to land the magic 1 shot. He actually landed that shot, got a knockdown, got 2 knockdowns, and Tyson Fury was able to climb that mountain and persevere. That was my largest concern, and that was the one thing I said with confidence. I said, in my first video that I did covering this fight, Tyson Fury can and will, I'm confident that, accept the damage, maybe get dropped, get hit, and then weigh on Wilder, and then just maybe have a favorable outcome. That was an honest assessment. We try to be objective. My prediction is Wilder, but I can still speak about the fight subjectively, breaking down where each fighter could have a certain measure of success. And so from that perspective, I think we did a hell of a job on this channel. But this is your boy JG. I'm gonna wrap this up. If you had not had the opportunity, like I mentioned before at the top, like, subscribe, bell icon for notification. There's an exaggeration and experience. Shout out to my man Double M. Also, just found out today, like maybe 10 minutes ago, Jorge Masvidal and Leon Edwards gonna get it popping. Late December, mid-December, I believe. So can't wait to break that fight down. If you guys made it this far, you're a real one. I appreciate each and every one of you. Shout out to Tyson Fury. Shout out to Deontay Wilder. Shout out to boxing. Hell of a night of fights on Saturday. We out.